Hello everyone. So I think a few of you have started posting the query that the webinar has started or not. No, dear attendees, don't have to worry about it. We are waiting for a few more attendees to join the session as well. So we have not yet started the session and we will be starting it soon in a couple of minutes. So as you all know, today the topic is all about L&D strategies, right? So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A option of the Zoom control panel, as usual we do in the other Parichay sessions. And once we are done with the experts discussion, we will definitely take up your questions. So I think we have our expert here and it's now time to start this session. Hello, Mr. Sudeep. Am I audible to you? I think you're on mute. Mr. Sudeep, can you hear me? All right. So
you can hear me now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sudeep.
Sure.
Yeah. So we are at to start this session now.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So once again, good evening, everyone. As you all know, I'm Rashmi from Great HR and today's moderator of this session. And let me formally welcome all of you once again to our 33rd Ask the Expert webinar Parichay. And as you all know, the topic for today is L&D strategies to attract and retain talent. Now, before we get into the topic, I would like to give a quick heads up on how the session goes. So the session is divided into two parts, where in the first part, we will be having a discussion with our expert today, which will then be followed by audience Q&A. So audience Q&A is where I can say time is all your dear attendees, because that's when you can start putting across all your questions related to our topic and the discussion we have been we'll be doing in a while, and we will be happy to take it up and get the answers from our expert. All right. And also the session is currently being recorded. So if you happen to miss out on any part of our today's session, do not worry, sit back and relax, because we will be sharing the recorded session with all of you soon. Now, without any further delay, let's get into today's topic. Well, as you all know, it's all about L&D strategy, right? So I think all of us agree to this point that we are never too old or never too experienced to not learn, right? In fact, for anyone to grow both personally and professionally, it is essential to keep learning. And we all agree that no matter what industry we are in, there's always one universal truth, that is, top talent won't stick around if there's no opportunity for growth and development, right? To an extent that a report by LinkedIn states that 45% of employees left their old jobs over concerns about a lack of advancement opportunities. On top of that, some 56% of organizations struggle to keep high potential and top performing employees. Now, employees are eager to learn and grow in their careers, and it is the need of the hour for the organizations to find ways to provide employees with opportunities to develop their skills. But how can organizations do that? What are the top learning and development strategies HR leaders must adopt to retain and attract top talent? So in the next 1 hour, we are going to discuss all about this in length with our today's expert, Mr. Sudeep Kumar Sen, Vice President, GI Group India. And let's understand and see, and also I think we can also gain some valuable insights on how the learning and development strategies can be done in an organization in detail. Well, before that, let me tell you more about our speaker today. So Mr. Sudeep Kumar Sen comes with more than 2 decades of experience, and he specializes in Salesforce planning, hiring, training, productivity matrix development, and implementation. He is currently the Vice President of GI Group India. Previously, he has worked with Team Lease, Adico India, and HSBC. His passion for scale and innovative thinking has contributed to the remarkable growth of several large business conglomerates. He is a well known speaker and a frequent contributor to prominent HR generals. So, Mr. Sudeep, we are glad to have you here in the session. Once again, welcome.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
So dear attendees, like I said, we will now be discussing about today's topic. So Mr. Sudeep, I have few questions for you today. Probably after this discussion, we will move towards audience questions.
Sure, and I must say that, Grey HR series that's happening, I think that specifically the topics, these are very unique ones. And if you look it from, these topics are very impactful for organizations, because we are talking about technology, we are talking about processes, and we are talking about people. And what we have seen is over the years, most of the organizations who have been able to successfully do business over a longer period of time have got these three things very right, which is people, process, and technology. And I'm glad I'm part of it, and I look forward to a very engaging and learning session.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Sudeep. I think your wonderful lines definitely put a strong base to our discussion now, I guess.
Sure.
So, Mr. Sudeep, I'll just start with some basics. So, according to you, what is the purpose of an L&D strategy?
Okay. See, I think it all starts with the business goals of an organization. That's the outcome. Now, if an business goals of an organization are fulfilled, the entrepreneurs, the employees, their partners, and of course their clients, everybody is happy. So that's an ideal solution. I think it all starts with first the business goals. Now, what are business goals? The business goals are definitely in terms of the revenue, the growth that an organization is looking for in a specific year. Once that is well understood, the next thing comes is, how do I make it happen? Now, when it comes that how do I make it happen, it is a function of people, because largely people will play a big role. Do my people have it in them in order to perform at that level? Or they need assistance, they need support, they need training. I think the germination starts from there. The seeding starts from there. So what essentially happens is the business goals are understood. We categorically say something which is called as workforce capabilities. Do my workforce have the capability to perform at particular level? How do I know whether my workforce has the capability or not? It can only be done when I understand the business goal and perhaps the capability required to perform. It is as good as, since cricket is going on, World Cup is going on, I'm going to put across in this way. If a team has to consistently score at, let's say, 8 runs per over, you need to definitely have batsmen who can do that, or you have batsmen who don't have the skill, wherein you need to probably train them, whatever, right? And of course, there is some part which is inborn. I'm not getting into that, but I'm looking at enhancement of this. So the next thing that comes is, how do you manage your workforce? Is you manage your workforce with the help of skill. So you have to have an assessment of the first pedigree of assessment. Where do you think they are supposed to be and where they are? Now, over a large pool of people, you will realize that there are people who typically have the skill set and they need to keep performing or doing a task. You will then realize that there are some set of people for whom there is a skill enhancement required. This is where the learning part comes. The development is yet to come. The learning part comes. Now, once you have a set of people and you are clear that this is what I would like them to follow, do, and then you know that these are the set of people whom I need to skill, and these are the things which I need to skill. Your platform is ready. What is a platform? A platform is a function of three things. People, again, what they're going to get trained, how much time, expected output. Now that you have the platform ready, the next important thing is reviews and governance, which means if you have planned that I'm going to have learning sessions for a specific set of people weekly once, are those happening? Are those moving in the right direction? Are we doing regular assessment after every 2 sessions to check the progress of the people, interest level of the people? There should be minimal absenteeism unless and until somebody is not well or whatever it is. And then you need to look back, how has this sessions been impacting my productivity? Because productivity is again linked with the organization goal. So this is like a cycle, it has to happen. And that's hot here. When this works out, we call it a development plan. See, a lot of people get confused between learning and development. Can learning happen today and development also happen today? No. Learning is what you do right now. Development is futuristic. But in order to make that happen, there has to be a process, there has to be a governance, and there has to also something which is change if required be. It's not I have thought I'm going to run this way. So even if I'm running the other way around or I'm running here and there, I need course correction. So that is also required. It also comes out during the learning. So L&D as a strategy is nothing. When people say, what is L&D strategy? I think we often get lost in these English words. In simplified manner, it is nothing but certain steps, processes that you take to meet the ultimate goal of the organization, which is meeting organizational goal. That's what is called the strategy part. One. Second is the processes. So I think in terms of learning and development, the first part is to understand what is the goal and live with the goal, breathe with the goal, whatever it is, accept the goal, what is decided. The next part comes is, how would you ensure how many of your people are actually up to the mark? And how many, and what all people, what sector of people, what sum of people, what total of people you need to train upon, what you need to train upon, platform, governance, and that leads to the development.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Mr. Sudeep. Thanks for bringing up those points. So in that case, my next question is, what are the key elements of this entire L&D cycle?
Okay, I think I covered some part of it. There are 5 parts to it, which are extremely important. The first part is, again, I would say assessment. I'm not picking the goal right now here because anyway, there is a goal and that has to be achieved. There is no second thought about it. What is most important is the assessment. Assessment is just not running an exercise and coming out with a result that so many of you know, so many of you don't know. Assessment is overall an organization assessment also. Assessment is breaking down those goals. First, you have a goal. You have broken down into goals, into large goal and the short-term goals. And assessment is about finding ways and means by which you can reach to the shorter goals and of course then to the larger goal. In this, people play a very important role. And you know that I need to have X number of people running at X speed to reach there. Now, you may realize that there are some people who are extremely good in sprinting because they have been. So what you do is you design particular processes for them, which ensures that whatever they don't fall back, there is no complacency which sets in. But for others, you realize that I need to kind of train them on. So the assessment helps you to get to know what is called as training need analysis, TNA. Once you know that this is my training need analysis, you need to get your training, which is what is called execution part. The second part, how would you train them? How often you train them? And how do you ensure that the training is moving in the right direction? Which is the second part. The third part is, which is largely in terms of governance, wherein I see a lot of organizations finally not able to make, they do fantastic plans, they do try to execute, but governance is something which reminds me of that Amir Khan movie where he makes sure that every day morning they get up, right? He was helping them to get to the skills, but beyond the point when they actually got the skills and they still started, I think both the girls started winning, the competition. He still used to make them get up early morning. That's governance, which means that you don't let discipline go away. You don't let the basics go away. They still need to have whatever platform you are performing, you still need to do those basics. That's governance. The second thing part also, or the last part, which I would like to emphasize on is to check and recheck. Many times it happens, what you have started with as an L&D program, working very fine, but what has worked very fine for the first 6 months with a set of people might not be working towards the second part of the year because of the market situations, because of many reasons which are not under your control. And hence there needs to be a rejig, a change that is required. These 4-5 things are extremely important.
Sure, absolutely, Mr. Sudeep. So in that case, what do you think is the impact of L&D on the business?
See, finally, there's definitely a direct correlation, and it's a wonderful experience. I mean, I have had some of the wonderful experiences during my tenure, and I've seen many organizations who are able to kind of come up with a distinctive L&D program for different set of people. That is, and it has worked very fine. I have seen such programs enhancing the productivity of the people, and finally that productivity adds together, have helped organization to achieve their goals. So it has a direct correlation with the enhancing the skill set of people. When you enhance the skill set of people, I think it has again a direct correlation with the retention rate of people within the organization, because you get more happy employees who are performing at the best and at the top, and eventually learning also helps the organization to retain people, give them newer assignments, give them newer goals to do. And please understand, while we say that attrition is probably the universal truth, I accept that as well. But I think it is also important to understand that people play a very important role in meeting organization goals. There has to be, there is a percentage which a lot of organizations says, which is anything between 15 to 20% attrition is acceptable, or rather is important also, because that's when you let the new blood come in and all. But then the core that you call in an organization, whether it's a large organization or probably a startup or wherever, that core has to be performing year on year consistently to ensure that the sustainability of the organization is at a higher pedigree. So now what I'm talking about is the sustainability factor as well. Hence, if you have a good L&D program, and it helps in retention of people, it also helps in skilling of people. It ensures that you have a sustainable team, and in a consistent manner, the organization is able to meet its goals. That's how these things are connected or correlated.
Sure, Mr. Sudeep. So that leads to my next question. So if we definitely agree that the L&D helps us to retain the employees, attract the new blood into the company and all of that. Yes, but we as an organization, how do we achieve this? In the sense, like, what are some of the most innovative L&D strategies that you have come across?
Okay, I think before I get into innovative strategy, I think I have worked with some of the extremely good L&D leaders, and how they do and what they do, and what has made a big impact. I would like to say a few lines about that first. I think among all the L&D leaders that I have worked or even working now, one thing which separates few among many is their ability and interest level. I would not say ability first, I think their interest and then the ability in understanding the business goal of the organization. You have to get into that why are we doing all this? That why are we doing all this? That interest has to come. It cannot be like it used to be before, that there is a budget and somehow you have to spend that budget and engage people. It is no more that. It is about learning the goal of the organization. Why are we doing this? What is the need of the organization to do this? Once we understand, or once there is a plan in terms of the L&D engagement. Of course, when I say that one has to understand the business plan, it means in terms of the figures that needs to be achieved. And in order to that, what's the budget? Out of that overall budget, how much is the L&D budget? This part is very important to understand. Once this is understood, it comes is within that budget, how do I spread it over the year and on what subjects? Now, to do that also, people have to understand that what would be the most necessity programs that I need to do, which have a high impact in terms of my people meeting their short-term goals. So those also needs to be understood. Once those are understood, then you have either an in-house team of L&D team, which would do the content and the delivery, or you would take care of people otherwise. That's how it goes. This is the framework on which the entire thing goes. Now comes how do you make an effective L&D program, which is more engaging, which is wherein a lot of people will probably attend it, and you expect them to learn while they are doing a job or whatever. See, to do that, what I have seen today is those specific classroom training programs have come low. A large part of that also is probably a gift from pandemic, because those were not happening, and hence we started moving to online learning. And today we have moved to another one, which is called as the platform learning, right? Which is app-based learning. So there are many applications available today. One of the things which is very important is and is very well adopted, and people really like working on such learning platforms, is what you call as the gamified version of learning. So there are different games, and each of these games are linked with what you call is periodic learning, enhanced learning, skilling, and etc. And you don't get bored. The staffs don't get bored. They keep doing that and etc. This, when they do that, it's like a game they are doing. They are engaged, but at the back of the mind, it happens that it leaves a lot of impact in their approach to work, at work, learning at work, implementing at work, because it's so very fresh in their mind, and that has started giving a lot of impact. Because finally what you want the outcome to be good. One, you want more and more people to take those lessons of learning, engage them, and finally meeting the organization goals. So this is how I have seen where a lot of learning programs have, in a very short period of time and periodically, have impacted performance from Q1 to Q2 to 3, 4, like that. It has been, the rise has been in a steady rate.
Sure, Mr. Sudeep. So thanks for bringing up all these valuable insights.
Sure.
So my next question is, like you rightly said, when it comes to really designing one's L&D initiatives, it is important to remember that every organization has a unique set of priorities and objectives, right? And that these L&D initiatives must also be adjusted accordingly, right? So how exactly does one has to approach such a significant and enormous task according to you?
Can I repeat the second part of the question?
Yeah. So here we understand the thinking we have priorities and objectives set to our organization, and our L&D initiatives also have to be adjusted accordingly, right? So how do we approach this, the entire task?
Okay, it depends who is approaching whom. Let's say if I'm sure a lot of my audience today or our audience today, some of them would probably be L&D leaders, and some would probably be the people at the mid-management level or even the entry level as well. It depends at what stage you are. If you are an L&D leader, as I was saying, it is important for the L&D leader to understand the organization goal, organization budget, and out of that budget, what portion of the overall budget or what is the quota of L&D spent. Once that is understood, and the next thing which is understood is impacts of what is the TNA, the training need analysis. Why do we need to do that? And what is going to make us do that? How much of technological advancements needs to be there or investment needs to be there? All this is to be done typically by the L&D head. People at the mid-level would definitely be doing a lot of execution, and I think the learning will come from there, which is essentially in terms of the fact that how do you learn, how do you ensure the task that has been given, which is the execution part, seamlessly happens, and the governance part, which has been which they have been empowered to manage, goes on. So this is the typically what happens at the mid-management level, and etc. At an entry level, there is a lot of work which is called as coordination work. That's how it works, because that's where I think they are the people who will be dealing a lot with the end users, the trainees, and etc. They have a very important role to play, and a large part of the success of the L&D programs happen with them. They are the people who face a lot of refusal, wherein a lot of performers come back and say that their day-to-day work is taking so much time, they're not able to find time to kind of go through those programs and etc. A lot of times it happens that they are dealing with people who have a more seniority within the organization, and hence it is not easy for them to have that compulsion talk. It's called compulsion talk. It's not so easy to have a compulsion talk. It is not easy for them to even escalate and get the job done, because they know it's more of getting them to do it, and getting them to do it courteously, religiously, regularly becomes tough. But yes, I think there is no specific rocket science. Some they will be able to bring in by getting people into reminders. Some they will have to take help of the escalation metrics. And finally, what gets missed out in a lot of successful L&D program and not so successful L&D program is appreciation. If you have a program which has been run and you have people who have attended it and who have gained from that, they need to be appreciated, because please understand that element of appreciation which is done to the chosen set of people becomes viral and kind of motivates many other people now to get focused on this, because that's the surprise element to it. Now, these all have to be part of the L&D program, and there has to be distinctive people to kind of execute this. But again, coming back to the same thing, that one has to understand the business goals, and they have to be percolated down the line. if the L&D manager or the lead or the head has been able to understand and percolate it to the mid management, and then she or he ensures that it goes down to the lowest denominator in the team in terms of why are we doing this, what is the impact in we doing this, and how each one's career is going to be beautiful with a lot of learning, or is going to contributing to the meeting the organization goal. I think then it becomes a lovely session. People accept it, admire it. People appreciate the transparency, engagement, involvement, inclusivity, all of that.
Sure, Mr. Sudeep.
Yeah.
My next question in that case is, like, in your opinion, what are the downsides of not investing enough into L&D? Like, how does it badly affect the employees?
See, there are two parts to it. One is if there is no learning. Today, I mean, I have come across a large set of people for whom it is not about just the money, because they believe that if you stay in an organization where you are not learning, you are not doing a great thing to your overall career. So it is not just not money. What people actually look forward to is that I would like to work for an organization where I'm performing and learning, because then money is just a multiplier. The moment you are working and you are learning, it will then the money which is likely to come on your way in due course of time is going to be in multiplying. It's like a multiplier. It's not just going to add, it's going to probably multiply. A lot of people have realized this. Plus, today, the generation that we are dealing with also understands that the ability to learn, retain, and execute, there is an age limit of that also. Right? Let's say from 28 to 38, that 10 years, what you will learn and what you will execute is going to give you a lot of impetus to your career. But if you say, I'm going to learn after 45 or 48, that's not going to give. So individuals are very clear about it, which is good. It has a direct relationship with the attrition control, because if you have a happy set of employees, who is a happy employee? We often ask this question, right? Who is an happy employee? An employee who has a perfect work-life balance, is he or she an happy employee? Well, the answer is no. The answer is that when you have employees who are challenged in terms of performing at a much higher level, with all support, all required impetus in order to learn and do that, and it's a congenial environment with a work-life balance, that's what is called as a happy employee, which means there's a constant for to learn. I think one of the other thing which happens, which I think a lot of private organizations we have not seen, and I take an example of probably the Tatas here. If you see, a lot of employees there get transfer between different departments. So what happens is that your skills, you are not leaving the organization, but you are within the organization and your functional role changes. And there's a lot of training which is given to you to perform the next role. Now, what are these examples? It means the organization overall has a faith in you. The organization realizes your talent and is ready to recognize you and the organization is also ready to invest to train you. Hence, if you see, the attrition levels are extremely low. So these are some of the good examples, and I'm sure, no doubt about it, that a good L&D structure, a good L&D, what you call is platform and an exercise definitely helps the organization to increase in the sustainability and to meet the organization goals and have happy employees.
Sure, Mr. Sudeep. So I think listening to you, I just get reminded of one of the very well-known quotes, which was said by Steve Jobs, like, learning is the continuous process, right? So
Yes.
we always feel that there's one more thing to learn, always.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Till the last breath of life.
Right, absolutely, yeah. And also, Mr. Sudeep, you brought up the a point key. There is also a role of organization when it comes to L&D, right? So this actually leads to my next question. That is, how can HR leaders build a culture of learning in an organization?
I think they are the custodians. HR leaders are the custodians. See, what all I said till now, it has to be walk the talk. It cannot be uh, implemented and then outcome expected. It has to be walk the talk. Uh, some of the programs that I've seen uh, the top level people at or what you call is the top management rather involved in those sessions as well as participants. Now, what helps that? Why it is done? So it is done in order to have a high impact. It is the biggest impact it makes is it breaks the barriers of designations. It makes, of course, time management is a challenge, and then I think some of the great leaders ensure that they do that. But the thing is, it breaks the noise, sound of designations. People at probably the mid-management level is also in a group and is discussing different ideas or a challenging situation that is being given and which is part of the learning development program, to work on a solution, to exchange views, to understand the perspective of the other person, and etc. And believe you me, there are two types of learning. One is which is called as I think exercise-based learning. Another which is called as the inculcated learning. Now, when you rub your shoulders with people who are experienced and probably running businesses or are departmental heads, and you work with them, for sure it rubs very good on you on in terms of further engagement, learning, and etc. That is one. The second is, till now what I have been saying is that a lot of these responsibilities are of the employer and probably the top management level and etc. There's always a responsibility of the others, of the employees also, to ensure that they are engaged. And if people in an organization do such programs where across the verticals, across the cross-functional teams and the leaders, people come together and do, that is also another filter of people, filter of the staff they have, their interest level, their motivation level, and their willingness to do that element of extra yard of walk, run. It is, do all L&D programs fail because of the employer? No. Many L&D programs fail because of governance. And one part of the governance also is to take a call. When you run a program, it also opens up the box for you to understand that there could be some people in the organization who are not willing to be part of this growth trajectory. And hence you need to deal with them in a different way. So as a nutshell, it is the custodians, it is the leadership custodians who needs to have such programs being developed and driven and manage, the governance part as well. And it is also their responsibility to identify people who they would groom over a period of time. Equally important is to also find out people who do not fall into their scheme of growth, scale, etc.
Sure, I think you have put it in the brilliant way here, Mr. Sudeep.
Sure.
So I think now it's time to go towards our audience questions. So dear attendees, start putting across your questions.
Sure.
We will be happy to take it up. In the meantime, Mr. Sudeep, I would also like to thank you for sharing such insightful and knowledgeable session. And
I like this question. Somebody has put it, I think Preeti Talreja. How to tackle, I think she missed two, how to tackle with employees who are not interested in attending L&D programs. That's a nice question. I will definitely address that, but I'll go with your flow, Rashmi.
Yeah, so I'm sure the insights that you have shared has helped our audience a lot in gathering all the other information. So I think, yeah, Mr. Sudeep, since you have already taken up the question, I think our attendee will be definitely curious to hear it from you. Please go ahead.
Okay. It's a tough question. I think I would say that is the toughest question, because when rest of the things that happens is uh, it's a process. But here you are dealing with psychology. You are dealing with people, right? And whenever you are doing a program or an assignment and you are dealing with people, it's a tough one. So Preeti, I think the answer is that you need to break it, that how many people out of what audience? Is it 5 out of 50 or is it 5 out of 10? If it is 5 out of 10, then you need to reflect back and see, is there could be some scope of improvement in the program in terms of engaging or the tools being used. And maybe you can further look to have gamified versions of training, etc. If it is 5 out of 50, then I think you know what I said towards the last, I think, 2 minutes, that you may have a workforce and you have all the intentions to enhance their skill set, but they themselves don't want to. They want to get out. They might not like to willingly get out of the train, because, but are they taking away the space in the train wherein would be onboarded by few other talent as well, who would be keen to attend these L&D programs? That's the call an organization has to take. These are signals. So I would request Preeti you to read it as a signal that if there are a set of people out of like 5 out of 50 not ready to take up an L&D program, they may be delusional. They are not ready to learn. They might have black spots and they are not ready to open up and learn further. That's how it is.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderfully, you have put it across, Mr. Sudeep.
Yeah.
And also, Preeti, thank you so much for bringing up this good question. So I hope Mr. Sudeep has answered your question. So in the meantime, I'll move to the next question. So the next question is from one of the attendees, that is, what are some of the unique or best practices in the L&D domain?
Yeah, I think the first part is you need to have a program which starts with a training need analysis. Assessment is very important because that gives you the insights in terms of the different caliber of people within your workforce and the competencies of people. Training programs can be divided into 2 buckets: technical, non-technical. Non-technical is typically what you call as the softer skills, and technical is typically what you call as the specific hard skills that you want your staffs to learn. The second part of it, which is the hard skills, it has to be driven by expertise, subject matter experts who do that, along with somebody who is also a representative or per se part of the the HR learning team. Because what happens is, a lot of people I have seen who are technically extremely well might not have the people angle to deal with it. And hence it is important that while they do the job, there is always somebody from the HR department or who understand the people part, be also a part of that. That's one. If it is about softer skills, I think there are enough exercises. Many organizations have their own programs. Some take it from outside. The key here is, how do you make people engage? And you might have a great content, but you would like to gamify. I think what I'm going to answer is going to answer one more person's question, Tahir Rasood, wherein he's saying that, how do you, no, I think Sudhindra NB, where he's saying, how do you gamify? So it's like this. There are experts in the market who have expertise in gamifying the content that you're looking for them to get trained, or the outcome that they're looking for. So I think you need to connect with them. You need to find out some of the gamified version. You need to yourself see that some of the gamified versions of training, and that's going to give you a lot of insights.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Sudeep, and I hope that answers the question. Sudeep, we have next question. That is, I think we have two questions in the similar line, so I'll just take it up here.
Sure.
So one question is from Elfida George, and the question is, how do we measure effectiveness? Do we have any specific tool that we can use to measure the effectiveness? And the other question is how to measure the ROI of L&D interventions.
Very, very good question. I think as far as effective tools are concerned, first of all, once the training is done, or the training not done, in fact, when the training program is getting designed, it has to have some outcomes which are measurable. Quantifiers have to be there. For example, if I am training a sales team or an account management team, and the training program is for a period of 3 months. Before the training program, I'm seeing that the average productivity of the team is, let's say, around 60%, which means you give them a target to sell 100 units of a particular quantity, they are able to do only 60. Do I know where I'm supposed to go to? Well, the acceptable limit is 80. So I'm doing a program which will enhance in terms of taking their productivity from 60 to 80. So I already have a quantifier towards which I'm going to. So whether after the first 3 months of training, when I'm going to assess, I'm going to see how have they moved from 60 to 80. Have they moved from 60 to 65? Have they moved from 60 to 70? Or is it that they have gone down from 60 to 50? That is also a case. I've come across situations where immediately people are looking for productive results, and suddenly they see that it has dipped. While it dips due to different reasons, not for the training program, market situations, market conditions, change of people, leadership, many reasons, but it also has happened sometime. But what we need to do is that what is the quantifier that we are looking for that is agreed post-training to which we are assessing how well has been the improvement. Here we need to be cautious, we need to be patient as well. We cannot expect immediately 60 to 80, but if we see that there is a delta change, there is a behavioral change, there is an effort which is being made, the activity level has gone up, then we need to be patient and see fine-tuning that needs to be done, which will essentially make that the person will reach from 65 to 70, 70 to 75, or 70 to 80 even. That's one. ROI is measured. If you have 100 as a target to be done, which means that if they do 100, they are able to, you know that the return on investments is going to come. They are at 60 and you want them to take to 80 immediately, which is in the next 90 days, and then the next 90 days to 100. So you know that what is your spent of training over a period of time, how it is going to give you the dividends, and at what point of time you will be able to hit to your ROI. So I think these are things which are important to dwell upon, work, calculate when you do the training program builder or building the training program. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Sudeep. So I'll now move to our next question. It is from one of our attendees, Monica. So the question is, in case of new employees who are working from home, how can we manage L&D?
Yeah, I think this is also, I would say, a very important question because we still in a hybrid model and etc. So Monica Bora, if you are listening, I've been harping on the gamified version of training, and a lot of this training happens on the application, which is a specific app. In any training session, a good training session has a phase which is called as the delivery phase. Let's say I do a lot of training program wherein I talk about or I show a presentation and etc. You need to set certain hard rules of engagement, which are called as rules of engagement. It starts with the fact that the camera has to be on, the mobile has to be on silent mode, email box, no fluttering with the email box, and no pets in the room where people are attending training, whether they are doing it from office or probably at home. These are non-negotiable because you want their attention. That is one. You have to also assess the training content that has been developed. Is it engaging, or is it just about somebody coming and is reading lines from a PPT? Believe you me, I think there are 67 odd participants. There were some more, and as I see, the numbers keep increasing. What if I would have been reading something and telling you guys? Do you think you guys would have loved to hear to me, or for that matter, the way Rashmi keeps all of you guys engaged? The key is here. Does your training program have the engaging content? Is it making people interested to listen to? That is also an important thing. So first you set the rule, and then you see to it that the training content is good enough. And you need to space out your training program. If it is 1 hour, then you keep 40 minutes for the Gyan session, as they call it, and 20 minutes, which is doing some exercise, which is asking now people to talk. If you don't have an exercise, if you are not on a gamified version, bring them together and ask them to say what they want to say about the training program. Ask them what you have been doing all this while. After this training program, what are the take home that you would like to bring into your work? What are the 3 things? What is that you will continue to do? What is that you would like to stop doing? And what you would like to start new as to do? All that. Finally, if you are able to engage, I think whether it's a hybrid model or the primitive model, I think you will be able to have a fantastic training session, engaging one, and it's going to help the skill set improvement as well.
Sure. I hope that answers the question. Also, dear attendees, we are trying our best to take up your questions, but maybe due to interest of time, we might miss out on few of your questions. But do not worry, we will definitely get back to you with the answers for all your questions. So in the meantime, since we are already running short of time, I'll just take up one last question for the day. I think this question is more of a generic sort of Mr. Sudeep. So the question is from Mallikarjun. So Mallikarjun's question is how to convey management decisions in smooth way where employees may disagree. For example, like changes in policies or something like that.
I'm not sure if it is specific to learning and development. It could be generic as well.
Right.
See, it's very clear. If it is data driven, it's very easy to convey. If it is not data driven, and if it is a English word explanation only, I don't think it becomes effective to convey. However, Mr. Mallikarjun Reddy, whenever you are talking, if you are somebody who is in between the leadership team and a large workforce, never talk in third person. Never say they. Never say management. Never portray that you are actually on their side. However, there is a decision which has been put and you are just a postman. We should never do. If you want to be a leader and if you consider yourself as a leader, you need to own that and then put it across. What is important, why I say this is, there could be a decision which is about policy change, but how do you convey depends on the success of what you want to convey. If you are conveying it in a third party that somebody else has decided, you are a poor chap in this entire world and who's been given this responsibility to convey, believe me, the person who is listening and the person who is impacted will also react in a very different way. But if you have data to prove that, yes, this policy change has been because of certain reasons and they are A, B, C, D, you will be able to hold that discussion with much more conviction. Now comes the question that who is going to explain me all that? That's when something is being told to you to convey, you should also raise those questions that I feel there could be 5 distinctive reservations when I go to convey. How is that I should address that is what you should ask to your senior or your leaders to equip you. Please understand, large, successful, sustainable organization literally practice this. They do conduct sessions on all of them before they actually take it to the employee. Because if not properly conveyed, if not conveyed convincingly, and if it is left with an arm of empathy only, it can be disastrous for your organization.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant, Sudeep. I think I personally like this answer a lot.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for mentioning it here. And Sudeep, I'll just take up one last
Sure.
question. This is from Zoya, because this I feel is a very practical problem which every organization faces. So Zoya's question is, what can we do to make sure the operations team gives importance or priority to L&D?
So if, I think I'm not sure what this but what I understand is that Zoya is putting her experiences, which is mix of frustrations also probably. But Zoya, I think there are two ways to look into it. Why are they not giving importance to it or priority to it? Is it will problem? Is it skill problem? Or is it the third part, which is content problem? I think you need to have sessions with them and understand that which category they fall into. If it is will problem, I am what I am not ready to learn anything new, then there is a serious problem. You need to deal with it with your seniors by telling the same thing, that this is the challenge. If it is a skill problem, saying I have so much of work, and over and above that you want me to get trained and hence there is no time, then you need to work out a balanced training platform in such a way that, and you need to have flexibility in place as well. If it is third one, that well, they are interested, but it is the content which is the botheration, I think then you need to look into the content development. If you believe the content is good, but it is probably the primitive way of doing it, the platform needs to change, gamified version needs to come, make it more lucrative, bring in aspects of certification post-training to the chosen one, run a quiz about the training or the learning from the training, give some element of certificates, awards, rewards to people who have done it properly. Somehow you have to engage. It's basically the art of engaging. You have to do that.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Sudeep. So I hope, Zoya, this answers your question. And I think with this now, it's time for us to conclude this session. But if any of your questions are unanswered, please do not worry. Here is one quick solution to all of you. As you can see on the slide, we have this community called Great Tribe. So it is the Great HR initiative, where on this community, a lot of knowledge sharing happens. So basically, this is a Q&A forum where you can be part of this community, post your questions, and many HR peers like you are already part of it, and they also try to share their knowledge. Not just that, many of the experts like Mr. Sudeep are already part of this Great Tribe community as expert panel. So if you post your questions, they will also try their best to answer there. All right, so here is the URL for that. Please feel free to try it out and let us know how you feel about it. So I think on this note, we are now going to end the session. Once again, thank you, Mr. Sudeep, for this session. You have certainly given us a lot of great insights on L&D strategies and how to attract and retain the talent. And also, dear attendees, thank you one and all for attending the session and for making it successful. If you have any more questions, anything related to today's topic or anything related to entire Parichay series, you can always write back to us on the given mail ID, which you can see on the screen. That is rakigautam@greatip.com. and we will definitely get back to you there. All right. So I think now it's time for me to say goodbye. But
Thank you.
that,
Thank you to you, Rashmi and Rakhi, and I think to all the viewers. I hope I've been able to do justice and give to my response to all of them. And there could be some questions where it requires some more inputs from my side. Feel free to write to Rakhi Gautam, and some of them probably will, of course, will be passed on to me, and then I do my best to answer to them as well. Thanks to Grey HR, it was a nice session, a very rich and important topic, and I've loved to be a part of it. Thank you.
Great. Glad to hear that, Mr. Sudeep. It's a pleasure to have you here in this session.
Sure.
So, dear attendees, see you again now with another interesting topic soon. Till then, stay safe, take care, have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you.